And good morning. Welcome to a Tadpoll for Thursday morning. Thank you for joining us. A brand new year. We kind of missed you last week, but we had some illness and we had the weather situation, so we kind of took a day off there. But anyway, we're back with a very, very busy first program for 2019. I have to remember,
Yep.
you guys, how many times you put 2018 on stuff already?
I've written a check wrong a couple times. So
Right. Anyway, our guest this morning will be talking first with Mayor Lance Munyon of Phillipsburg. He's going to give us a financial look at the city and the past, the accomplishments, and what might be coming up. And then, of course, the Public Works Director, Tim Driggs, will talk about what happened in the city the past year and what's going to be happening. On the state legislature, Ken Rogers will be joining us. He'll be telling us about the fun he's had moving offices down in Topeka, and he's is on some chairmanships, and Max Dibble will come in and talk about the strategic planning. It had quite a bit to do with the highways in the state of Kansas to get those back up to where they should be. PCED and Nick Pools will be here to talk about what's happening at the north part of Phillipsburg there for the daycare center, how that's coming along. And it has a new director to talk about that. The Phillips County Arts Council, Tracy Garner will be joining us. They're going to be having auditions for their spring program and their presentation. She'll be joining us, and then Angie Wells will kind of bring up the end of the show, talking about some of the winners in the drawing they had. We were going to have Angie on last week and couldn't make it, so we thought we'd put it all together this week. And then again, we thank all those people who sponsor, make this possible. To do this about over a year now, about a year and 3 or 4 months, we've been doing the Assist in the Sports Talk on the Saturday morning. Well, Tim and Lance, did you have good New Year's?
yes,
Did you?
I was between Gaylord and Glade on at the stroke of midnight.
Really?
Yeah, moving stuff up here.
Movie
so,
stuff,
yeah.
all right. Okay. Tim, do you have?
I was actually sick the entire weekend, so
Okay.
you had a much better one than I did.
Okay. Well, Tim, we appreciate you. Are you feeling better?
I'm getting there.
Okay,
I
all
just
right.
want to stay over here. So.
Yeah, I'm glad you're between. I've been lucky. I haven't had anything yet, and I shouldn't have said that. Okay, Tim, let's look back on the year a little bit there on how things have gone. Good year for Phillipsburg.
It has been a very busy year.
Mm-hmm.
This guy took charge last year about this time, and he has changed the way we approach our business.
Mm-hmm.
And so, first several months was trying to get reacclimated on where we wanted to go and what his expectations were for us.
Mm-hmm.
And he brought a lot of energy to us. One of the big things we started with was the capital improvement plan and the budget, and how we looked at that stuff. Once we finally got some of that stuff put together, we started tackling into our projects for the year. We went through what would typically be a year's worth of projects in about 7 months, because we had to slam everything
Sure.
into a tighter spot this year. We crack sealed a whole bunch of streets this year. We did a bunch of curb replacement downtown around the square. We've been working on a big design project for State Street East.
Mm-hmm.
That design is nearing completion and should bid in April.
Wow.
One of your favorite projects you'd love to talk about this year was State Street West.
Yeah, right.
The city got a great deal on that. It cost us about $2,100 to
And that's
mill an
still,
overlay from State Street and Second west of city limits.
Santa Claus came early on that, didn't
It
he?
did. We got a heck of a deal on that one. We was able to do several water lines this year. We wasn't able to get one of the last projects of the year finished. It's about halfway finished. Southwest Second was one of the projects we worked on. There was another project off of Bergman Drive and 7th Street. Those two projects are complete.
Is there pressure up?
It
A
made
pressure
an
blip.
amazing difference.
Okay.
We're working to finish the project down on Park Street. That was the last water line project we had scheduled for 2018. We ran a little short on getting that completed. Mother Nature has been a little harsher on us than usual. But we'll get that completed here very shortly. We also did some work out at our airport this year. Early in the year, we did the remodel out there of the terminal building. The guys did a fantastic job with that. We've been working on getting a project done out there. As many of you heard me talk about several times throughout the year, was the taxiway project out there. Reason why that project has kind of stalled a little bit was due to the abundance of rain this year. our contractors really fell behind in the projects they'd already bid. So they were unable to get up here in the time that they were looking at, and they asked permission to move that back to the spring because they were afraid they couldn't get it done throughout with weather conditions.
Sure.
And looking at the current weather conditions, it was a smart call on their part to forego that and move it to the spring. So that'll start first thing in the spring of this year. We're also working on a project out there for design of the new access road that goes between Santa Fe and the airport terminal building. Currently, it's a chip sealed road. It's in fairly poor condition. It doesn't meet with the guidelines that are set by FAA. So we're working through some things with them to try to maybe put new concrete pavement out to that and put a new concrete parking lot out there. So those will be things that will be coming up. This next year, I look for us to be just as busy, if not busier, than last year. We've got a multitude of water line projects we'll be replacing. We're going to hit streets really hard this year. We've got a lot of things set in place for curb replacements, concrete approach replacements. We've got some mill overlay things to discuss. It'll be probably one of the busiest summers you'll see around town. So we're very excited to see that stuff take place. We know with Shopko's closing, we're going to have to relook at some of that a little bit and see how we adjust to fit that loss. Hopefully we can help find something that can help fill that void.
Okay, sure, right.
But I look for it to be a busy year.
Yeah, I think we need to mention the AMI meter study.
One of the things that we've talked about for the last several years is the automated meters. We spend every month, we shut down all of our operations to go read meters. We are one of the few organizations still around that does manual reads, which means we go to every individual meter in town.
The flag goes up in the winter time so they can find it in the snow. Yeah.
And we take the individual reading.
Yeah.
What that does, it creates a lot of man hours, but we also at times it creates, if you say you watered a whole bunch this month and you had in the past, it's going to set a flag off in our system. It's going to say you got an abnormal use. So that sends another guy back. It's going to reread it to make sure that somebody didn't make a mistake.
Wow. Yeah.
So what we're looking at doing with these AMI meters is, and this is something we've been looking at for, well, it was discussed way before I got here.
I can remember recovering meetings, and they talked about this a long time ago about automated
It's a
meters.
great thing. It is a fairly large investment. You're talking approximately 1,300 meters. You're probably looking at about $500,000 investment. It shows right now at about a 5.5, 6 year payback. What this would allow is a lot of added security to our customer. Not only will it allow us to read instantly, they can push a button on the computer and automatically read your bill, but it also tells us, say Lance was to be gone tomorrow, he was going to be gone for a month. His water line happens to rupture in his house and it starts showing an abnormal use. It'll send us a flag notice and we can contact you and say, are you doing something abnormal in your house? You're using an abnormal line.
That happened too, by the way.
Okay.
I had 7,000 gallons of water
Really?
back, in the back room when I was out of town. And Barry discovered it by emptying the trash. And,
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
walking into
It does happen more
it does
frequently than
happen.
people
Yes.
think.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things you see happen with that is, with some of our elderly folks, they have water lines in their basements, and a lot of them don't go downstairs. And you may have a floor drain downstairs, and it could set and just run. And we only check your meter once every 30 days.
Sure.
So you could use a lot of water in 30 days, and there's nothing more painful than us contacting you and saying you have this very large bill. And
Wow, sure.
so this would be a great program for us to be able to move forward with technology and make things more efficient. It'll be something that we'll be discussing with the council again Monday night. We have a vendor that'll be up here that'll do a presentation. And, from a staffing standpoint, we're very excited about it. We're very hopeful that the council can assist us in finding funding that will help support the project.
Okay, how does that work? I mean, you put in a whole new meter, does it radio, or does it send radio signals, or how does that work?
It does. The meters we've been installing for the last 5 years are this type of meter. We've been steadily going towards that. What it requires is we have about 180 of these meters already in place. What it requires is put an antenna. This antenna looks like just a little bit bigger than a hockey puck. And it sits right on top of your meter can. And they're a low enough profile where they're not supposed to cause any problems with your mowers, anything like that. And it transmits to a tower that'll be up on our water tower.
Okay.
And
Wow.
that transmits back to the computer that'll be sitting there at the city office.
I was wondering if you had each yard is going to have an antenna sticking out about 10 feet.
It's a little black hockey puck.
Really?
That's all it looks like.
And it's going to be, I won't cut it all up with a mower or anything, right?
That's what they tell us anyway.
Okay.
So
I'm interested in it from a standpoint. Our line loss has been running around 25-30%. So we've got a leak in the system somewhere. Okay, so we think we might know where it is. We're gonna do some testing on the river out here as far as the tube that the line that goes underneath. We think that might be where it's at. We need to set a meter before it goes into our production out here.
water plant.
Well, out at the water plant, and measure it there as well as what's coming in, so where we know what's coming out of our meters out at the reservoir match what's coming in. And we need to get a little bit better at knowing where the problem is. This will help.
And to add on to that, one of the things we're looking at when we start looking at this water loss report, over the last 4 years, it seems like it was staying pretty consistent, and all of a sudden, the last probably 24 months, it really has spiked. And there's nothing that really shows that we've done different. We show a loss in water usage. A lot of this really makes a lot bigger when you have the ethanol plant when they went on their water source. So you can't spread that loss out over as many gallons as they were using. So one of the things that we looked at was we're looking at some of our meters that we'll be replacing to try to help coincide with this, shorten it down. That one meter is $10,000.
Wow. Okay.
So they're
That could be well
expensive
worth
things.
it though.
Yeah.
So we will be aggressively going after that this year to try to make sure we can narrow that band.
You might be touching on it later on when you talk about the accomplishments, but what's happening on the reservoir? The state says you got to do something.
We should be hearing here in the next few weeks whether we were selected for the CDBG grant.
Mid-January, I think, we're supposed to hear.
I am
CDBG.
very optimistic that we will be selected, but until we hear officially, we're just kind of on a holding pattern waiting.
Of course, that's the thing we did last summer to get any results back and seeing.
On the LMI survey.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so, all right, so.
That was a great accomplishment.
Question on the big construction, and it's a big construction on the highway.
It will be.
Okay. Have you determined yet how the traffic's going to go, or is that still?
We will phase that to a point where you will shift 2 lanes at a time.
Okay.
So,
So
there
there'll
will
be two
always
traffic.
be two-way traffic at all times.
Okay.
So that's a mandatory requirement.
Access to all the businesses and everything. That's always a big question, knowing how they're going to get to my business if that's going by there. But you're also going to be water lines and tearing up everything. And
There'll be all new water lines that are going as part of that. This would be a significant improvement for our water line infrastructure. Part of the problem we have with some of those water lines is we can't shut them off. The valves are no good. If you see us over here Christmas Day over here by the old gingerbread house there,
yeah.
we had a pretty substantial leak there, and we were unable to shut that off because the valves don't work.
Yeah. Wow.
So that'll be something that project will help improve.
Okay. And now there's bricks underneath the pavement. What are you going to do with the bricks? Has that been decided yet?
They will go away.
Okay. All right. They're just, that's the problem, isn't it? Now that it's
It is.
so long and they've sunk down a little bit.
It isn't so much that bricks have caused the problem. Bricks and asphalt don't play well together.
Okay.
They just don't. They don't bond.
Yeah.
Things get to moving around and
Yeah.
they just keep
Well,
shoving.
sure.
You can't. It just won't stay put.
When they put those bricks down originally, was it just on sand,
A
Did
lot
they
of
put
places.
and sand between? Is that the only thing that held them in?
A lot of places. Now, some of the newer construction will have a concrete cap underneath them.
Okay, yeah.
But a lot of places, that's the way it
They
used to
just
do
put
it.
the bricks down, put sand in between, and that was it.
I can't imagine how tedious that construction
Oh
was.
yeah, yeah. Okay. So, anything else from your standpoint there?
We've got a lot of work to do this year. We hope everybody can be patient with us.
No.
And,
Well,
if anybody's looking for a job right now, we do have one open.
okay.
We'd love for you to come
Yeah,
apply.
you might mention that, we did the,
Last Friday,
Yeah, I was going to ask about that.
Randy Shea retired after 32 years
Yeah. Wow.
as our public works foreman. Randy's been a very talented and very large part of our organization for a long time, and he leaves a heck of a void for us to try to fill. So we wish him well, and we've got some big shoes to fill.
Okay. Okay. You said what was the job opening? What is it?
We have a maintenance one open right now. If we found the right person that had the right qualifications, stuff like
Sure.
that, we could move that position around a little bit to fit the person.
Could a guy that used a cane or a walker a lot be eligible for that?
Do you like cold water?
I've been here through all the water softening. I mean, and I remember Randy. I was here when he went to work for. I remember when he went to work for the city. It's amazing out there. Well,
He's was one of our longest tenured
sure.
employees.
Well, okay, all right. How many employees in the city?
We have 23 right now, I believe.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
So
And they're out taking this. I think what I think is great. The city cooperates with the city. The city cooperates with the city to do the lights and help and all that. I mean,
we do a little bit of everything.
I watched them yesterday taking those wreaths down. Oh, man, it's got to be cold.
It was, we pride ourselves on our versatility,
Sure.
and even with a very small crew,
Mhm.
the guys are very good at being able to jump on any task we give them.
Sure. Okay.
And it's something we've always prided ourselves
It's a good crew. It's a good crew. Okay. All right. All right.
Oh, we do have a new employee.
Okay.
Tiffany did hire a utility billing clerk. Her first day was the 26th.
Okay.
Her name is Brandy Spray.
Okay.
She's a young gal. She is, as we like to tell her, she's been drinking from a fire hose last week. So she's getting flooded with information, and so far she's doing a very good job.
and so
I
is
think-
Tiffany, so she's been drinking
I
from
think
fire hose as well.
when I paid my water bill this morning before I came over here, I think she's the one that waited on me there. So okay, very
Lot
good
of-
because that was a new
lot of new
face.
faces, yeah.
This year has really been a huge thing about reorganization.
Mhm.
Just and how Lance has brought a different just setting to the meetings, the committees, and all of our organization trying to see how we fit.
Sure.
And it has been challenging.
Sure.
It has been, but we see a lot of good things coming, and with Lance's energy, we've got a lot of good things coming.
Okay, very good. The mayor, let's talk financial review or accomplishments first. What are you going to talk about?
From a financial perspective, our bank balance, and I didn't do one for the end of the year, but this is from our town hall meeting. We spent $796,000 to pay off those sewer bonds, okay? That was the 0.5%
Sure.
sales tax that we had before that we replaced with the 0.5%
Yeah.
for the capital
Sure.
improvement plan. If you were to add that in, we would have been about $300,000 over, our balance would have been over what it was the year before. So
Okay.
very proud of that,
Sure.
the fact that we
Yeah.
did that. With some of the retirements and changes we've made in the organization, we've lowered our payroll expenses by $160,000 per year.
Wow.
Okay,
Okay,
that's
sure.
significant.
Oh, yes.
So going forward, I think you'll see more of an improvement.
Sure.
I mean, not improving any more on that, but you'll see that impact our budget.
Have you seen any impact yet? When is the new 0.5%? When did that go into effect? When is
Well, it never did go away. They took it and put it, we had to spend it
Different.
towards the sewer fund only the last quarter.
Sure.
Okay, and I think we collected close to $60,000, and we actually have a $60,000 project
Wow. Okay.
out there that we need
Sure.
to accomplish with that. beginning this month, that it goes into a capital, can be used for anything.
Okay,
So
Inside the capital improvement fund.
inside the capital improvement fund.
okay, all right.
Right.
And of course,
Which
that
is-
$60,000, without that, you wouldn't be able to do it, or would have had robbed from some other
This one,
project or something?
yeah, it would.
This project that we're looking at there is to the wastewater plant. It's
Mm-hmm.
an efficiency project. So it's one of those, you have a fairly substantial upfront cost, but the payback on it's fairly substantial quickly. It's like a 2.5, 3 year payback. So you're paying yourself back quickly.
Sure, okay.
Major accomplishments, again, we kind of re-energized the committees. The committees have always been there, but they really didn't utilize them.
Right.
Okay, so now we have committees and chairmen of each one of those that do a lot of the groundwork before it ever comes to the council. So usually Tim meets with them, since he has about 98% of our budget. He'll meet with one of those committees and determine what the recommendation to bring to the council, and then the council acts on it. Again, if you're a resident that's working with the city, more than likely you're going to go through one of those committees before it comes to full council.
Sure.
And then that was huge. I think the changing the financial systems to track true operational costs by department and facility was, I mean, the way we had done it before, there's no way you can truly understand your costs. And that's one of the things, Council Member Brett Miles, who's head of our Finance Committee, and I stress that we need to understand where our money goes and how it's spent to where we can truly manage it right.
Sure.
That was key in some of the things we did. The other thing was to develop a 5-year capital improvement plan. I think he mentioned it, Tim mentioned it before we did that. We didn't have one in the past. We kind of in our minds had it, but we never set it out. Now that we have the 0.5% sales tax, you now can marry it up to your plan and make sure you can fund it.
Well, before, probably, do we have something to do this, and then you
Right.
do that, well, then that something else didn't get done or something, is that bottom
There's a lot
line
of
pretty
that.
much,
I
Tim?
mean, you would start shifting priorities pretty quick to try
Sure.
to fit one or the other.
So the big things to me were the LMI survey, which was a lot of effort of Brenda and her staff, Tim and his staff, and council members. Everybody was in on that as far as getting the numbers that we needed to be able to qualify.
Sure.
And that's going to pay off huge on the Quans Reservoir. Hopefully we'll hear, I think January 10th was I think it's the 10th.
Do you have any inkling of what they're gonna do? I mean, is there anything positive coming back from that, or is it still
Nothing
fingers, or your fingers still crossed?
I am fairly confident that we score as high as anybody else.
Okay, good.
So I feel very comfortable with it.
Okay,
And now we're now thinking about what do we do next? Okay, so how we actually qualify to be able to submit until the next census is done.
wow.
So
Okay.
we should have a couple more years of these upwards, close to $600,000 that we could qualify for. So maybe it's the AMI meters. That could be one we could submit. So there's other things we could submit for. Again, the Quans Reservoir, that takes a lot of work. When you go for that CDBG funding, it's not something that's easy. I mean, you got to do a lot of paperwork and work
Sure.
with Northwest Kansas. So he's mentioned mainly the other things that we did as far as projects. One of the things I like to talk about is the 2030 vision and working with we set up an economic development advisory board that consists of 13 residents that
All different organizations. yeah.
all different walks of life, and they're all represented, including our county. Max Dibble's on it, and we got our economic development individual. Steve will be taking over for Doug, Steve Russ. So they started a vision, and we went out and validated it with a lot of organizations, plus we had it at the town hall, asking for feedback, and we got a lot of good projects underway. And we have a community development director position that we're searching for a candidate to do a lot of the communications and fundraising.
Wow.
So
What was it like? What, a year? You had a year about mayor now? About a year?
Very busy. I spent more time than I thought it would, you know. Yeah, we probably averaged 25, 30 hours a week
Okay.
doing this. Last month was kind of a whirlwind. I didn't spend a lot of time on it. But
You're down in Oklahoma several times, weren't you?
yeah,
Everyone settled? Are you all settled here, back?
yep. I married Lisa Bowman,
Yeah.
and we got all our stuff moved up here on January 1st. So we're settled in, getting boxes unpacked. Got rid of your stuff.
All right.
Yeah, she's getting rid of all my stuff. No, I'm just kidding. We just got to get her horses up here. That's the
Okay,
next
the
thing.
horses.
Once,
All
once,
right,
once
that's
we
right.
get her horses up here, we'll be completely
You'll
settled.
you could be able to stay up here then. Okay. One other question I ask you, and then I'll let you guys go. Concerning the elevator at the community building, we met on that. I'm on that strategic planning. And how's that look? What, you
Well,
applied for a grant? Yeah.
we've submitted, and we'll be waiting to hear back on whether it gets funded or not. I think we have a legitimate chance of seeing that get funded. We submitted for the elevator to city office to make the city office ADA compliant. The city will be taking care of the cost of the ADA portion of the facility. We are asking for the Hanson Foundation to assist in the cost of the installation of the elevator.
Well, that's a whole. I can remember when the city first moved over there, and even when the savings owned it, that building, the basement used a lot.
It used to be.
And then it's not anymore because of the ADA situation.
Right.
But now get that elevator, that's a whole new area where you can start having meetings and
And
get-togethers
it
and
opens
stuff.
up a range of possibilities for that building. But it's a step for us to be able to increase the use for the community, and also a step for us to look at other facilities such as the community building.
Yeah, that's,
Making community building ADA compliant would open that building up for
Right.
enormous amounts of use.
that third floor is something else too.
It
right?
is. It's a shame that it can't be utilized.
So I want to make sure people understand a lot of the stuff that's in our vision was part of the strategic doing initiative that's been driven by Dane G. Hansen. Okay, that project is not a city project; it's a Dane G. Hansen project.
Right.
Okay,
Sure.
and we have a lot of other things: the walking trail. Okay, the sports complex. That is all strategic doing things. So when people want to judge the city on our vision or whatever, it's not the city vision. This is stuff that was come up before we ever had it, EDAB and all that stuff
Sure.
going on.
Yeah.
So I just want people to
Yeah,
understand.
Hanson brought this.
Hanson brought
Had the
that, and it's
meetings
an
over it,
opportunity,
yeah.
and I hope that we can get a lot of the funding through that. But the 2030 vision has a lot of strategic doing initiatives in it.
Okay, all right. And
So-
we have another meeting coming up later on this month again. And it was interesting to go to the meeting, all the different things that came up. Some didn't go because of lack of interest maybe
Right.
or this, but some of the ones that really took it and went with it really well.
Yeah, I mean, the sports complex had 11, 12 people that are working on that initiative. So-
And again, the city has nothing to do with that.
No,
It's
that's
interesting to
just-
see some of those committees because, you and I were on a committee to start with, and everybody was just gun ho, and then all of a sudden it just went.
Yeah.
It was gone.
Right.
And so we sat back and looked at some other opportunities out there, and which is where the ADA access comes from.
Yeah.
And
The city will have to get involved in it from a standpoint if the sports complex goes, if they can get their funding and it gets put in place, it'll be put under the city as far as maintaining it going
Sure.
forward. And as far as the economic analysis, we have to consider that into your economic model to make sure we take the expenses into consideration.
I never realized my own personal how important the ADA is now because there's a lot of things I could not do if things were not ADA, and and I really appreciate the fact that things are being looked at like that. Curbs being lowered at corners and things like that that the ordinary person doesn't realize how important that is until you can't do those things.
as we get older, we start looking at things through a whole different lens.
And we have an aging town. I mean,
Yeah.
we do.
Sure.
We need to take care of them.
Yes, I appreciate that.
So-
It makes it a leisure meeting room. Okay. Well, I hope you have a great 2019.
Yeah.
And that things go well. We'll have you back on here and kind of keep track. I'm looking forward to the State Street project. You know, see how that goes, along with other things. But it's
Well, have a good year.
Okay, I appreciate.
Thanks for letting us come on.
Appreciate, Mayor. Yes, sir.
Thank you for having
Tim,
us.
yes, sir.
You might want to wash that now.
Okay. Oh, we're going to come back. I don't know whether I know Max is out there. I don't know if Ken is or not. We'll come back and start things off if Ken isn't with Max after we take this time out.
Have been ours since 1884 when we first opened our doors. This is Lloyd Culbertson for First National Bank and Trust. It's a place filled with friends and neighbors who want nothing more than seeing you happy and better off. First National Bank and Trust in Phillipsburg, Logan, and Long Island, Smith County Bank and Smith Center, Solomon Valley Bank, Beloit. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Incorporated in Phillipsburg, offering local and long-distance hauling, complete shop service, including an automatic aluminum polisher to restore and refurbish those aluminum truck rims to a mirror finish, and 24-hour towing service. Now hiring over-the-road drivers traveling 48 states. Excellent benefit and pay package. See Coombs Incorporated on Facebook. Coombs Incorporated. You call, we haul.
We're going to shift gears a little bit here. Instead of talking about the city, we're going to talk about the county and the state and what's going on there. We have Ken Rogers, representative, with us, who got back early this morning from Topeka. Boy, you go back and forth. How many times did you do that? You know, I know when you're back there, you're back there.
Right.
But it seems like you're there or here. You know.
I'm usually somewhere in between here and there, I think. So yes. So I saw Senator Moran had a deal about 45,000 miles this past year, and I talked to my wife and I said, we did that from the end of session till October. So,
And of course, we have Max Dibble, the commissioner, and also he was on the task force on the highway situation. We've had you on to talk about that for what's the story now on this is highways, and you blame the highways for your tire problem last
well,
night?
yeah,
I blame it on someone, right?
or somebody, yeah, not bad driving at all.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, what about the task force?
Well, some of the, I mean, it was very, very interesting. I really felt, good to be able to be a part of that and represent Western Kansas here as much as we did. And, Bilger was on there with us, so, I think the two of us were able to express things out here. Probably one of the best things that I think came out of it, and of course it'll be up to Ken and the legislature, as far as funding, but we got 21 projects, and one of them is our 383 out here,
383.
which is in Phillips and Norton County. But recommendation that we took back and will go to the legislature is to, if you promise, then you need to fulfill your promises. So we got 21 projects, which is about $600 million.
600
million, yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which, again, the recommendation was to finish those in the first 4 years. And, the 383, of course, would be one of those. And that's about $60 million between Norton and Phillips County
Complete
together.
rebuilding, is that the
Yeah.
complete rebuilding? Okay.
Yeah, right. So that's a big project. Another one is the one from Russell up through Osborne, and of course they'll probably have to relocate that highway because there's just no way to rebuild it where it's at.
Wow.
So those are some good things. The other thing that that we tried to express is we need the same type of funding every year for 10 years because this strategic or task force was for looking into the future of the next 10 years. And somehow guaranteeing that we don't get them transferred out. About $2 billion was transferred out last year, and that's the reason we got projects that weren't done. So, but
The state they used to have a 10-year program. I don't know, what was it?
T-Works.
Yeah. Okay. And then all of a sudden that money kind of started disappearing. We knew where it went, but I'm not gonna. But it's changed around, and I think we got a little more sanity back in what's happening now on running, and not being political. Well, I guess it is being political, but anyway.
Well, as Lee Corso said, not so fast, my friend. So I don't think the sanity has quite been fully implemented.
Sure,
So, but that's another story. But
Sure.
Go ahead.
Anyway, the thing there, the fuel tax, I mean, that's protected. So none of the fuel tax is transferred out. And of course, depending on how you talk to it, the sales tax all comes in, and then I believe it's a certain percent of that goes to transportation. But that was all planned, for finishing T-Works, which didn't get done.
I
So.
probably asked this question before, but east versus west, a little bit in the, I mean, the eastern part of Kansas, west. I know they'd like to have great highways there. We'd like them out here. There's a lot more people back there, a lot more impact, I think, for the standpoint of, well, that's where the more of the money comes from. But did you see that? Did you guys work together pretty good?
Well, the thing I saw in that was when we first started our task force, they came out and presented and said, well, western Kansas has 80% of the miles in Kansas. And it's like, okay, then that sounds pretty good for us. But then they turned around and said, but the western Kansas only drives 8%
No. Sure.
of the miles driven in the state of Kansas. So when you look at it in that perspective, yeah.
Okay. So anything else going to be coming? You think we'll be meeting again, or is this pretty much set in stone now, as much as it can be?
Well, we still don't have the final draft that's going to go to Ken and them in the legislature. We've reviewed what's in the recommendation, and it's pretty broad. I mean, we didn't pinpoint out, as far as after the T-Works programs, we didn't point out and say, well, we need Salina to have this project, or we need Wyandotte to have this one. One thing that will help us, talking about Jerry Moran, is Wyandotte County and Ellis County both got federal grants. And I don't know if they were really Tiger grants, but a couple of pretty good projects.
That's for the roundabouts and everything. You want to
Yeah.
put in the haze and everything.
Right.
And some people like I always come up to one of those, and I always say, okay, here we go. But it seems to be the trend. All of a sudden there's a roundabout somewhere, and then maybe that's the trend.
They are. I'm not a big fan of them either, but and it looks like the ones in Hayes are a little bit different than, like I said, I was just coming back from Topeka yesterday. It was in Manhattan. They've got some new ones,
Right,
and those are kind of the traditional ones that we think of much tighter. The ones in Hayes, I think, are going to be a little wider. What it looks like, and people will always argue and say statistics say those are safer. I don't know, and cheaper, of course, because stoplights and maintenance. But I don't know. But that's one of them.
Yeah, one of the things that they did, and they presented that to us, because I had several questions, because we don't have roundabouts too much here, but my grandkids have them down there, and they walk to school by a couple of them. And I said, I understand that you don't have any head-on collisions. They're all glancing.
Sure, yeah.
Because you don't have the head-on part. But I said the thing that concerns me is, when my grandkids are walking to school, there's no stop sign, nothing there. I mean, they just have to venture on their own.
Sure.
And of course, the only comment I got back was, well, they only got to look one direction to see if anything's coming. Well, anyway, so that was just kind of a pet
Sure.
peeve, I guess, that I had on them.
Okay, and my first experience was in Boston on one of theirs. I got on it and I went around and around and around and around, and I told my wife, I've got to get off of here, because I never got to where I wanted to go
Right.
because of the roundabout. But they're bigger. The traffic circles back there is what they call them. And it's the same concept, but they have 3 lanes sometimes. And all right, so let's talk a little bit. Anything else on task force?
The only other thing I might mention, and again, this will be up to the legislature, but they're estimating that just the preservation part of the roads in Kansas is about another $600 million.
Wow.
So and these are numbers that we're talking about now. That $600 million's every year.
Wow.
But this is again a 10-year project, so. The 21 projects, even though the amount there, that's one and done, when that one gets done. But
Kansas used to have great highways. I'm not saying that, I went to Texas over Christmas, and some of the roads down there aren't all that good either. 35 through Oklahoma is terrible. I-30.
Has been forever,
Yeah,
hasn't it?
no, I think so. And they going through Oklahoma City, that's been under construction, I think, since the wagons went through there. You know, I mean, and Fort Worth and all. But anyway, okay, let's talk about the legislature a little bit. Brand new look down there now.
Right.
Okay, what's first place? I want to talk about your moving. They
Yes,
moved you around.
I am right. In fact, that's what I was doing yesterday. We had moved things around, and so since I've been there, I've been on the first floor, the third floor, the fifth floor, now back down to the first floor. So I'm easy to find.
Okay.
So if you ever go to the Capitol, that first floor, and if you see the flashing ATM machine, it's not a deal. And so right next the door, right there, you open that door, and I'm right there. Now you come now, and all you're going to see is boxes.
Okay.
I moved yesterday, but then I had some other meetings, and so I didn't get anything unpacked. So and it's kind of like you downsize without really getting rid of much. So I had one of the bigger offices with no window. Now I have a window, but it's kind of underneath when you drive in. So I still don't know exactly sure what the weather's doing, but so I have moved down, which I don't know if it's a great place to be or not, but it's easy to find, and it's I'm next to Willie Dove, who is the new chairman of the Agriculture Appropriation, Susan Concannon, who is now the chair of Children's Seniors, and then Tom Phillips, who is from Manhattan, who is my vice chair. I'm the new chairman of Higher Education Budget. So, of course, that's been in the news in the last couple of days.
Sure, right.
So, and I did serve on transportation before. I won't now, just because in the moving around of the way the speaker wants to put people. But I appreciate Max and Senator Billinger being on. One of the things that we were able to do last year is to make sure that we had representation from Western Kansas. The idea was congressional districts, and I stepped in and said, no, let's do it by KDOT districts. That way we did have it. It just so happened the way Senator Billinger with his position in Senate appropriations and Max being involved with the county government, and it kind of worked out, which is great. And I'm sure Max has had more than his earful of everything. And so once we get the report, the transportation committee will review it, and then once they pass something out, it'll come to us. So I'm not sure if the House will take it up first or the Senate, but there'll be a lot of discussion. And I think from a legislative standpoint, the chair of the transportation budget is Shannon Francis from Liberal. So Western Kansas will be the chair, and so I think that will help the dollars and cents. I still don't know if there's a big appetite for a fuel tax. I know there's been something talking about basically a mileage tax. Now, somebody like me who drives a lot, I'm a little concerned of that.
How do you control that? I mean, how do you know how much you're driving?
You take it as Kansans are good, honest people, and they'll be honest on how many miles they drive. I don't know.
Would you have to send that in or something? It seems
well,
to be a lot of more paperwork.
Well, it would be something along the line of probably either an estimate or have to keep track. I don't know, but one of the things that we're going to continue the fight. We don't know who any of the cabinet secretaries are. We're going to keep up the fight to make sure 383 is very much the top of the mind of the new secretary and their staff. And hopefully things will be in order. And I think that's where most of the legislators that I have talked to is agree with what Max has said is let's finish the projects that are in the queue in a sense before we do others.
Sure.
But the other thing, I think there's a lot more support for the ongoing maintenance. We as all taxpayers in the state spend a lot of money on 435 in Johnson County. It's a great road, and I know there's a lot of yes, the roads may not be exactly where we think they are, but drive whatever 20 miles north, you'll drive any direction. And ride and close your eyes. Don't close your eyes while you're driving. Yeah. But I can guarantee you will know when you hit a new state.
Okay.
It is that way when you head south. It is that way when you hit Missouri. It's that way when you hit Colorado. And so if we put in perspective, what we need to do is we need to, as legislators, the Republicans still have control of both the House and Senate. The new governor is a Democrat. We need to work.
Really, I wasn't aware.
Where you were, and it's I know it's a new concept. But so that's where we need to work together, because we're hearing some things that there wasn't promises or wasn't things made to folks when it comes to transportation. So we're all looking forward to see what the budget proposal is.
Yeah.
If our concern is, what we're hearing is, the transportation sweeps will continue in order to pay for the other things.
Well, good roads are important to your commerce and everything. I mean, they're really important, and that's most people. That's where they see state government are on the highways, and how things are going. Okay, what the committees are you on now?
So I am the chair of higher education budget,
Okay,
and then also that puts me on the appropriations committee, and I'm also on taxation.
wow.
So my days will be starting early and end late, and so it'll be not only trying to find to spend the money or not spend the money, and how to raise or hold the line on some revenues, and so my office will probably be busy with folks. Either saying don't do this or please do this, and so I think that's good for the district. I think that's good for Western Kansas. Just again, we have a pretty good turnover. We have almost just not quite 30 new legislators, both Republicans and Democrats, and so that kind of changes things. And so you don't have to be there very long before you're in a position of in the top 30, 35, like where I am now with tenure. I haven't done the numbers exactly sure where I am, but in a position where, when you're 125, it's hard to get anybody to listen to you. But after you've been there a few years, because people come and go, then, your calls get returned. People will stop and talk to you and will listen to your concerns and try to make something happen. So, and we'll see with this new deal, but, that's, I told the speaker when he won, I said, I will serve wherever you want me. Obviously, probably my strength, a lot of my work has been in agriculture, and I'm still not abandoning that, or water issues, the other things that I'm passionate about. But I think being a member of the Appropriations Committee, we can help some of the other folks as well.
Okay, I want to ask you a little bit about the federal government is in Washington. They can't get along. I always felt the Kansas legislature got along better, the Republicans and Democrats. Do you feel that way, or is there a lot of animosity there too? I'll put you on the spot there.
Well, I think there's a lot of animosity. We're hoping, we as a lot of legislators, I can't speak for all of them.
Sure.
There's a new leader. The Democrats have a new leader, in a sense. He's been there for quite a while. Tom Sawyer has been majority leader, now coming back as minority leader. It's something that a lot of us can get along with. We're hoping there is a new tone with a new governor, regardless of their political persuasion, and at least there is a honeymoon period. But you read things in the paper, and there's already jabs. There are and now I say the paper. I don't say social media. And I'm of course involved with social media with what I do for a living. But I think the social media doesn't have the long-lasting impact that it does. It's very easy to type something out and then not necessarily be held accountable for it.
Yeah.
So some of those things, I don't necessarily discount them, but it's like, okay, well, that's so some of those things we understand in both parties. You have to do that sometimes to throw out some red meat. But what we're hoping is that the new administration makes some announcements, so we kind of know who we're dealing with. We're a week and a half away, and we have no idea of who we're going to be dealing with.
I was reading about how secretive this has been, as opposed to, maybe secret is not the right word. It is, they're holding everything pretty close to chest, or who they're going to appoint for all these different jobs, right?
And again, that's fine. That's not a problem, but it's one of those things to where, all of a sudden, people tell you we'll get along, but you don't know who to get along with.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, then that whole process of there's a get to know you process. It's just like Max found out in the transportation committee. They traveled over the state, and by the time all those meetings they went to, he made new friendship. But that first meeting was like, oh, if we have to try to get along, it may be a little interesting. But once you do that, and that's kind of the process where people say, well, you've got to get along. Well, I don't know. There's 84 Republican representatives, and there's not, and the balance is such that, I think
2-1 in it, maybe
Yeah,
2.5 to 1.
but it's the whole one thing that we as Republicans have said since election night. The governor elects that she wants to do all this and this without raising taxes. We said, Governor-elect Kelly, we're with you. We will work with you to not raise taxes. And I think I don't think that's gonna budge. And I think this first time around, as we saw in the paper yesterday, and online, I guess through that higher education is obviously one that there's a concern. And she said, well, it is, but there's these other 3 or 4 things that she has great concern over, and I would guess 5 of those top 4 things she has are not really concerns that we're that excited about as the legislator.
There's a lot of money. I keep hearing about $600 million more than you're in, $300 million. I see all kinds of figures. Is that money that's available, or is that?
Well, it's kind of like this. I will use this as an example, Tad. January 1st, the banks are closed. You could do a balance sheet to start off the new year. Maybe you haven't paid your bills that are due on the 10th. You could look like you have an awful lot of money, and that's really where we are.
Okay.
In you look at it, your checkbook may say you have $696,000, but you have a lot of bills due. One of the things we have to, we need to make a capers payment. We need to pay back the PMIB money that we used 2 years ago to get through the budget situation. One thing we haven't talked about is our bonds, and so then you have the school funding situation. So that money is basically gone. So there's no new money to do a lot of things that there's some things we can agree on. I mean, I'm looking forward to learning more about what her rural initiatives are. I read what she was running on. Okay, there's some things we can have discussion on. And I hear the lieutenant governor might be doing that, but there's been very little outreach as far as to us, and we're not going to be in session that many days. You say, well, it's 90 days or 100 days or whatever, but in reality, it's going to be here before you know it, and done.
Well, we'll have you back on again here. I know it should be interesting.
I think it will be very interesting, and we're off most of the month of April, but there'll be some time other. I think just read the paper. We'll start up our weekly column, and I'll have some things on canforkansas.com is the website. So and social media, and I'm easy to find. I mean,
I know, yeah.
I'm usually somewhere all the time. So and I always tell people, and people at church always get a kick out of it. Like, if you can ever find me, even during the session, almost every Sunday, I'm with the Presbyterian Church right across the grocery store in Phillipsburg. You can always come to church and find me.
Okay.
And sometimes I don't get out before people chew on me, but you can always find me there.
Okay.
So.
All right, well, very good. Appreciate you coming on. And good luck and
Thank
things.
you.
And we'll keep an eye on things. What's going on there? One final thing. Anything else besides? I want to ask you a little bit coming up at the end of this month in Smith Center.
Okay.
What's happening there?
Okay. Again, just kind of shift gears a little bit here, but the last Saturday of January of every year, we have our Route 36 Quail Forever banquet, which is for youth and habitat. It'll be in Smith Center this year at the National Guard Armory and in Smith Center. Now, I hope that doesn't shut down because of any of the government stuff.
Yeah, right.
But anyway, we encourage you to come there, get a good meal. We're going to give away 23 guns, and the youth can come, and they don't have to pay any registration or any raffles, and they're going to be entered for 3 guns.
Sure,
So
that's a great. Get the kids interested the right way in the guns, and we'll have you back on again here to talk more about that.
Sure.
For phone numbers. Tickets are available for the year. They can just
Oh yeah,
see. Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for serving on on
No.
the state to get our highways back there.
Glad to, absolutely
And
glad to.
again, appreciate all through the years, we go a long
Sure.
way
Oh,
back,
yes.
and appreciate you coming on and talk about. And one other question: could what's happening in the federal government now? Could that ever happen in Kansas?
Shut down.
See, Kansas cannot spend more than
Right.
they have.
Right.
I think that's a great. That's a great.
I don't think it something like this wouldn't, because we have to have a balanced budget. We have to, the perpetual motion, because we don't have things that would programs like that would end funding.
Sure, yeah.
It's a different way of doing things. So it won't. This deal, if you realize, there's some inconveniences. Like our FSA folks aren't working, but NRCS is. The conservation folks, but there's some, but it's all politics.
Sure.
That's all it is. It's Republican or Democrat. Today's one of those new days. We have the new Congress gets underway, and so hopefully we'll. Let's see. It's 11. It's almost 11 o'clock in the Eastern Time. Is that when they get sworn in? So, how many minutes? 3 or 4 before we, before the honeymoon's over. So,
All right. Well,
all right.
Thanks a lot, and good luck. Thanks.
Thank you,
I
Ted, appreciate
coming
it,
on.
you bet.
All right, we've just got a lot of other guests come on here. Hope they're still out there. We'll be back after we take this time out.
Hi.
Looking for insurance.
This is free.
When insurance agents work for only one company, their options are simply limited. But a Trusted Choice independent agent is free to shop many companies for a better deal. Free to do what's right for you.
Let us shop for you. Contact Rogers & Associate to learn more.
And back on the Tadpoll, we've gone into already an hour here. We do appreciate you being patient out there. It's about a half hour after we told you to be on, but Nick Poole's with us this morning, Phillips County Economic Development. He has brought with him Brooke Fike, right? Who is why is Brooke here this morning?
Well, Brooke is the new director of the childcare centre project that we've got under construction at the way, and she's working really diligently at the moment in enrolment and getting all the behind the scenes stuff done, ready for us to be open. So.
Okay, let's talk about how are things going on now. Then we'll talk about what the plans are and everything.
It's going really well. It's a little slower than expected. I think we're maybe a couple of weeks behind schedule, but it's going very well. We've had Next Tech in there yesterday. They're putting in all the keyless entry and all the wireless connectivity. The plumbing is done, the electrical is done, the HVAC is done. So it's moving along at a pretty good speed. So it doesn't look like it is from the outside. That will come, but the inside it
Well, it sounds like it just completely did the inside all over again, right? With
Yes.
the electric, everything, and
Well, we had all those volunteer groups come in and do all the demolition for us. We had a completely open space to start with, and so they've now got all the framing up for all the different classrooms, the kitchens, the offices. They had to cut a lot of the concrete because we went from one bathroom opening in the concrete to however many bathrooms we have now, 6 or 7. So they had to cut all the channels, lay new pipes, put new concrete in.
so what's it going to be like? How many classrooms and how many different rooms and what kind of?
From my perspective, there's 5, but I'll let Brooke talk about what's involved with each of those classrooms.
Okay, Brooke, let's talk, Brooke, and then are you already on the job?
Yep.
Okay, so what's the building going to look like inside?
Well, there's 5 units and then an office. So we have an infant unit, and then 2 mixed age units, so we could use those for whatever the need is for. And then a preschool unit, and then a school age unit, so for kindergarten and up. We can use that unit for after school care or summer care for the kids that aren't in school. So all ages.
Okay, so, after school yet, how late will you be there? What are your plans?
We're
on-
thinking 6 p.m. I
Okay,
think that's,
so if a parent or parents are working until 5:30, they'll be able to
yeah,
do that.
they should have plenty of
And
time.
when,
Yeah.
when do you open up in the morning?
We're thinking 6 a.m.
Wow.
Yeah.
6 to 6 with,
Yeah.
how many children you're looking to have?
We'll be licensed for 59 to
59.
start with.
So
yeah.
is that a magic number? If you go to 60, is it a different?
If we go
Different
to
program.
60, we have to be relicensed.
Okay.
There's more criteria, and I believe when we did the plans for the building, we could be licensed for up to 72, 73,
Okay.
something like that. But at 59 or below, there's less criteria with the.
So
or
that should
less
be where you
restrictions.
are right
Yeah,
now. So.
Exactly.
But what do you anticipate age groups? How are they for the older kids, or what do you usually? What's your purpose? I guess. What do you look at your use? What are the looking at the right question here? What age kids will you be taking? I mean, I know all, but is there
Right.
a certain age group where you get more of?
Well, we can take as early as probably 2 to 4 weeks. It depends on what
Okay.
we're licensed for, up to probably age 12. And that way that we can just help whoever needs help. We can have up to 9 infants, and I think that there's a need for that in this community. I know that a lot of people, it's hard for them to take infants.
Sure.
I mean, it just takes more work and stuff. So right now I have the most preschoolers enrolled already.
Yeah,
So-
next question. You already have enrollees,
Yep,
right?
we've started pre-enrollment. Yep.
Okay, how's that looking? Pretty.
Pretty good. If anybody needs to enroll, they just can get a hold of me. I'll send them an application. They can send it back with their enrollment fee, and then their spot is secured until the center opens. That way they know they have a spot.
Where is your office now? Where are you located?
I'm in my basement. I have an office in my basement.
Okay, all right. Well, I was wondering. I'm sure you weren't out there with the big pounding
Yeah,
and all
no.
that stuff going on.
It's
Okay.
awfully cold out there right now.
Okay, so how long have you been on the job?
Since end of October.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
So I've been getting enrollment forms ready and handbooks ready and policies written, all that stuff.
okay. Where's the funding come for this? From the families, or is there help, or what? How the funding for each individual?
To enroll an
Yeah,
individual.
yeah.
I think there's various ways it can be done. We're still waiting on our licensing to come back
Okay.
to allow us to work with the Department of Children and Families.
Okay.
Department of Children and Families, if I'm right, they can help subsidize.
That's my
enrollment.
question.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a family can't afford.
Yes.
Maybe they have 7 kids or
The,
something.
the whole purpose of this project from the very, very start, even before we turned any bricks over, was to create something that can be used by the entire community. We want this accessible to everybody, and in that respect, we're working through every channel we can to make that happen.
Sure.
So regardless of what a financial status is or what have you, you will still be able to get access to this facility.
So you're the director. How many people will be helping you do the job out there?
That depends on enrollment.
Well, obviously. Yeah.
Yes, but at least 1 per classroom.
I didn't know whether it's for every 10 there has to be someone. Is
Yes.
there a rule on that? Something?
Yep, there's different ratios for each age. So.
Okay, so
For the infants, you have to have 1 member of staff for 3 infants. for every
really,
three.
Yeah.
so that means 3 people.
Yeah.
If you have 9, wow.
But then when you get up to the school age, I think it's 1 for 20, 22, something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I don't
Okay,
remember
It
exactly.
depends on how you're
So
licensed.
what'll happen during the day? Let's say I'm an 8 years old. What'll I be? 8. So why would you? I guess my question is, you have all age groups, but shouldn't they be in school,
So,
a regular school, as opposed? How's that? What's the difference there?
so if they're school age, they'll just come see us after school and
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
yeah, so we can help them with homework or whatever before they go
Okay,
home, whatever their
that-
parents prefer, or
that
they can
makes
just
sense.
come play,
Sure.
whatever works. But we'll offer preschool too. I make lesson plans for like toddler age and preschool age, and we'll be awfully busy.
Okay, so-
But they'll still get a nap in the afternoon too.
The nap, the ever-present nap for
Yes.
the kids. The kindergartners, so they still take naps. We used to always, I remember, look forward to taking naps, you know.
I don't know. I know they go all day now.
Yeah,
I didn't
know,
go to
it's
kindergarten
amazing.
all day.
Okay, so how will the students who are going to school get to your? Will there be a bus to bring them from from point A, the school, to your place after school? How's that handled?
At this point, we're looking at different options. For now, while we get set up, we're just going to say it's a parental drop-off
Sure,
and
sure.
a pick-up. We would like to figure out some kind of transportation, but how that looks,
Sure,
we
right,
don't know
sure.
at this point.
And okay, so, but then you'll have like for the preschoolers, you'd have them all day, but you will have like teaching them things like ABCs and
Oh, yeah.
all that.
Yep, I based lessons off of Kansas Early Learning Standards, so they'll be ready to go to school when I get done with them.
Okay, wow, that's great. And Monday through Friday, or Saturday, or just Monday through Friday now? Is that what it is?
And Saturdays,
Yep.
Saturday mornings.
Saturday
Yeah.
mornings. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah, we'll cover the Saturday morning shift, and it'll probably be, we haven't finalized hours yet, but roughly maybe 7 till 1, something like that. Again, this is a community project, so we're going to gauge our center on what the community needs.
sure, you'll
actually
have to.
are.
It's
So
going to take a while to determine
If-
just what the need is.
if it turns out that nobody wants the Saturday, then maybe we'll close it down. If it turns out we need extended hours, we can do that too. We're aiming to be as flexible as possible to make sure that we can cover what the community needs.
And did this all start through Phillips County Economic Development? Is this how it started? How did it start?
No, this was an initiative. It came out of a lot of different things we had strategic doing, but before then we did our countywide survey in 2015, and that's what really sparked it off. When we had that countywide survey, we put a task force together to assess what it is that's needed. And this was independent from any other organization. This was not a PCD project. It was not associated with any other organization. It was just a group of like-minded individuals that realized we have this necessity. How can we make it happen? And we got together and put our heads together and thought, okay, let's try and figure something out. And it's snowballed from there. 2.5 years later, we're at this point.
Wow,
So
it's amazing.
it's been quite a project, but hopefully this is what the community has
Sure.
been asking for.
I've heard that a lot. We just need someone to.
Yeah.
The working parents and everything have to have somewhere to take their younger people, you know, and everything. Okay.
Exactly.
Your background a little bit. How'd you get involved in all this?
Well, I've been involved with childcare my whole life. My mom was a child care provider for 16 years of my childhood. And then I went to school for early learning. I went to college at Fort Hays State.
Okay.
So I've lived here for a few years with my husband, and I worked over in Logan at the center over there.
Okay.
So I've known for a while that this is what I want to do.
Sure. Well,
Yep.
that's great. Growing up with a lot of kids in your house,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Is that fun?
Not really. I love the childcare atmosphere, but to have it in your house is rough.
Yeah,
but
right. Okay, so you're ready to
yeah.
do this, and you've been on since October, so you're so if anyone out there is not aware of what's going on, what do they do? How do they get in touch with you, or what happens?
Well, my contact information is on our Facebook page. You can just search Phillips County Child Care Center and find me there, or message me through that page. You can probably call Nick's office. He can get you in touch with me, and then we can get you started with enrollment.
Okay, where'd the funding come to get all this stuff done?
It's come from everywhere, Ted.
Yeah, okay.
Absolutely everywhere. We've had so much local support for this project from the different foundations, different
A
businesses.
lot of grants. And
We've had a lot of grants. We've had a lot of donations. We were successful in getting community service tax credits last year, of which we sold or the entire
Sure.
amount, or got donations against them. And we still have donations coming in now, and anybody is welcome to donate to the project. We'll never turn anything away.
Sure.
And a lot of people have done specific donations. They've said, well, here's a check, but I specifically want this to go towards playground equipment or such like.
Okay.
And that's great too. I mean, At the moment, it looks like we are starting this project. It'll be open on the first day, debt-free, which is incredible.
Wow.
And that is all because it's a community project
Sure.
and the whole community has supported it. So,
Yeah, wow.
yeah.
That's amazing that this has come about the way. I know we've talked about this before about coming along on that and getting that the use there. So it's a good sized building, and now the playground, will it be, where will it be? In the front?
It'll be to the north of the building.
North, okay.
So we've built that storm shelter to the north.
Right,
And then
okay.
there'll be 2 playground areas that go north of that under the big tree there. And so you've got
Of
some
course, the
nice
storm shelter, that's very important that you
Oh
have that
yeah,
too,
and
wasn't
that's
it?
so
Very
nice to
Yeah.
not have to carry kids down the stairs when you're doing a drill or in an emergency is awesome.
Yeah, we've put a couple of things in place in the daycare center that I think are going to be somewhat revolutionary.
Yeah.
But,
What's the name? Do you have any special name for it?
Phillipsburg Childcare Center. Yeah,
Maybe some
as simple as it
sunshine
gets.
or all day or something like that. So, it sounds like things are going well on that. And
Yes.
Yeah.
and good luck. I appreciate you coming on this one. Anything else going on in the PCED?
Oh, there's plenty, but that'll be another discussion.
Okay, all right, fine.
I'll come
Appreciate you
back
coming
soon.
on, and good luck. Thanks again, Nick,
Thanks,
for
Dad.
coming on
Appreciate
again.
it always.
Yes, sir. And it's fun driving by there, kind of watching. You don't see anything on the outside, like you say, but you know stuff's going on inside there. So-
Yeah.
Oh, I had one other question. Was there a lot of volunteer help on this? Did you have much volunteer help?
Yeah, especially when it came to the demolition. We had the local Rotary Club. They came up twice and helped with demolition. And also the high school and other community volunteers came up and helped on a couple of occasions.
Very well.
So there was a lot to demolish, and then all of that stuff had to be hand taken out of the building, loaded into trucks,
Wow,
and that was
sure.
all done by volunteers. So
Did I ask her, or did you say, what's your planned opening date? What,
we're saying spring.
spring,
That's,
okay.
that's about as accurate as we can get
Okay,
right now.
Let's say spring would be March the 21st.
We'll see what
Okay.
to space.
All right.
We'll keep the community updated as
Sure,
and when we
all
can.
right, very
But when all of the construction is done, we'll probably need roughly a month to get then all of
There you
the
go.
furnishings in. All the
You have to have an
curriculum in,
open
all that
house,
sort
of
thing.
course, and all that,
Exactly.
and let the
Exactly.
public see what's going on. Fine, thank
Yeah.
you. Good luck, and
Thank
we'll have
you
you
very
back
much.
on here
Yeah.
again.
Appreciate it.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right, I think we're going to talk with Phillips County Arts Council next here after we take this time out.
Your dreams have been our dreams since 1884 when we first opened our doors. This is Lloyd Culbertson for First National Bank and Trust. It's a place filled with friends and neighbors who want nothing more than seeing you happy and better off. First National Bank and Trust in Phillipsburg, Logan, and Long Island, Smith County Bank and Smith Center, Solomon Valley Bank, Beloit. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Coombs Incorporated in Phillipsburg, offering local and long-distance hauling, complete shop service, including an automatic aluminum polisher to restore and refurbish those aluminum truck rims to a mirror finish, and 24-hour towing service. Now hiring over-the-road drivers traveling 48 states. Excellent benefit and pay package. See Coombs Incorporated on Facebook. Coombs Incorporated. You call, we haul.
We're going to talk about drama coming up next year. Phillips County Arts Council always involved in musicals and dramas and everything. They have their new presentation for this spring. We're talking with Tracy Garner. And, Tracy, thanks for coming back again here on the Tadpoll. And I think we talked about this one other time, what it was going to be. What's the Phillips County Arts Council doing next?
Our next play, the spring play, which is March 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, is going to be a vintage Hitchcock, a live radio play by Joe Landry.
Okay, that's a live radio show.
Yes.
Okay, so what's it about? What's going to happen?
Well, the set is going to be a 1930s radio station.
Okay.
And inside on the set will be actors that come in and do the radio show in front of the audience, but they will be as characters playing
Sure.
67 different characters.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah. So the play itself calls for just 5 actors. I'm thinking we're going to increase our actor pool on those 3
Sure.
acts, across the 3 acts of the play.
So it would be it's an old time radio where they come in and have the script here and they have the sound
Yes.
effects, going to have sound effects and everything.
Yes.
Are you going to have actually a sound effects guy, or will it be on?
No,
on
that's
film?
our goal, is to have the sound effects person as one of the characters.
Wow.
That will be on stage. So the part of the enjoyment for the audience will be seeing how that person does the different sound effects, what they use, and
Footsteps with the shoes.
sand and making different sounds, and doorknobs and windows breaking, and yes, and even the fog sound. You know, there's who knew there was a sound for fog, but
Foghorns.
there's lots of different things that will be
okay.
happening.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to work all that out.
And you did bring up a good point that I'd like to point out for anyone who would like to try out, is that this is going to be a unique play. In most plays, you have to memorize the entire script. But the beauty of this is that as the actor, your script will be in your hand and you'll be able to read through. So if you're a first-time actor or someone who's always thought maybe that could be me, then this would give you a little bit of a security blanket by being able to hold the script while you're doing the play too.
The old-time radio announcers used to cup their ears because they could hear what they sounded like, and they would be announcing and cup their ear like that. And now we welcome you to Tommy Dorsey, live from the Biltmore Hotel. And
I tell you what, I still do that when I sing. Cut my ear so I can hear myself better.
Does it really help?
Oh, most definitely.
Okay.
It certainly does.
So I grew up in radio. I know all-time radio stuff there, and the stuff that went on. Amos and Andy and Jack Benny, and to see it actually happening here. So,
Right.
So is it an Alfred Hitchcock story? Though,
It is out. If it's 3 of them. The first one is the oh bother. The first one is the London Fog story, which is called. Let me get there. It is the very first one's called The Lodger, but it's also known as the London Fog story in the radio plays. But then the second is 39 Steps. And,
that's a very famous movie that
Yes.
he did. Okay.
And Sabotage. So those 3 are the 3 acts of the play, and I could use the same actors in all 3 acts, or I could break it up depending on how many actors try out.
You know, it's amazing because those are World War II things,
Yes.
and these are actual shows they did on the radio that have been
Yes.
sent out here to Phillipsburg, Kansas, to try it out.
Exactly.
Wow.
It's the way this has been put together is using those same Alfred Hitchcock scripts. Now, most people think of Alfred Hitchcock in his later years, to where it was all suspense and horror, but Alfred Hitchcock in the early years was more about suspense and intrigue and mystery and reaching into the dark places of humanity and just touching that and drawing that out for the public eye. So that's who Alfred Hitchcock started out to be.
Sure.
So that's what you'll be seeing in this radio play.
Okay.
I think this will be reaching many different audiences also. I'm really hoping to reach the younger generation so that they can see what technology was like way back when.
Yes.
100 years, almost 100 years ago, 90 years ago at least. So
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing what they did, and of course, not growing up in the 30s as a kid.
I didn't do that.
No, every night we would go in and sit by the radio and you had to use your imagination.
Mm-hmm.
You'd hear things, and Suspense was a great radio show. I Love a Mystery. Of course, Burns and Allen and all of you know. I mean, it was the way it is now with TV. It was with radio. People would just sit around for half an hour and not talk, and maybe when the commercial was on, you go out in the kitchen get something to eat or whatever. But radio used to be that way, and there were networks. You had the Blue Network, you had NBC, you had ABC and CBS, and they all had their. You know, it's Sunday night. You had to, at 6 o'clock. Jack Benny. I don't care where you were. You would stop what you're doing and had to listen to Jack Benny.
Yep.
And then, you know, see, you could tell I go back a long way to the radio.
Yeah,
thing.
I remember my Sunday night 6 o'clock was Disney hour.
Yeah,
so.
Right. And get home, hurry home after school. Tarzan, the Lone Ranger, and all those things.
Good old television and radio.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, there wasn't television.
Not that time.
Yeah, just radio. Now, again, that's in the 40s, and then, of course, TV came along. Radio completely changed.
It did.
Sirius had a channel on where they did those old radio shows, which you travel somewhere, and I'd like to listen to those.
Well, they turned the old radio shows into the first television series.
Right. Oh, yeah, a lot of them came over.
Yeah, a lot of them it put into.
Amos and Andy never worked because you had in your mind what they looked like, and when they
you
got
were
on
disappointed.
TV, yeah. Jack Benny he had TV, but he never.
The imagination is so much better.
I know it is.
Yeah.
And you could sit there and laugh.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Well, tryouts for this production are tonight and Saturday, and we're not. Even though it's a Phillips County Arts production, we are going to do the tryouts at the Wesleyan Church on the corner of 4th and 8th Street. But tonight's from 5 to 8 o'clock, and then Saturday morning from 9 to noon.
Okay.
So, but if somebody wants a package to read through, then they can email me at Mama to the Third.
What was that again?
Mama to the Third.
Mama to the Third?
Yes, at Gmail.
MOMMA?
Correct. Number 2.
THE.
Number
2, all right.
Yep. THE, number 3, and RD at gmail.com. So
wow. Okay.
MOMMA 2 THE 3 RD at gmail.com.
Okay.
Yeah. Or they can call me at area code 214-557-9710. And I'll be happy to email them a tryout pack so that they can read through some things. It'll also help them knowing the setup of the play, the time frame, who Hitchcock was during that time. So I encourage you. I'm not the only director. I have a co-director. I call her my cohort in crime, since we're doing Alfred Hitchcock, you know. And that's Kathy Whitney, also known as Lee Benight's wife, and from the Lutheran churches.
Okay, all right.
So, yeah. So we will be happy to help you answer any questions you might have.
That's tonight from when to when?
Tonight
at the Wesleyan Church.
At the Wesleyan Church, 5 to 8 o'clock.
Okay.
And just come ready, relaxed, have fun, come casual. Just relax, be yourself. It'll be fun.
Or Saturday morning from 9 to noon.
Yes,
Okay.
9 to noon on
Wesleyan
Saturday.
Church too.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Also, there is one other thing I am looking for, though, if it's okay. Not just actors. I'm very seriously looking for a sound effects person or team of people who are willing to come together with all the sound effects. That I thought I had a couple of people lined up, but they both have withdrawn. So. Because of their time things going on. But it really would be a lot of fun and something really kind of geeky to get to do.
Sure.
So,
Do you have access to the different things for the sound effects, or whoever does it have to come up with them? And do you have?
I have a list of what things need to be collected, and I'm more than happy to help collect those if the person needs. But there's different things that can make the same sound effect. So it depends on, what that person's comfortable with and such.
All right, okay.
So,
All
yeah.
right. Well, we hope that Well, and the thing about it is, you don't have to learn anything and remember it. You'll have rehearsals and you have to read it.
Right.
But that's great. I think that it's different concept, whole
Yep,
different
very
concept.
different.
Okay, very good. Well, we hope show up tonight or Saturday morning, West End Church again tonight from 5 to
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock, and Saturday morning 9 to noon, and just if you just want to kind of see what's going on, show up. Okay.
Yeah, most definitely.
Okay. All right.
Thank
very
you.
good. Well, thank you for coming on, and we hope things go well.
Thank you.
Okay.
God bless you.
And all right. I think Angie may be out there. As we'll take another break and then come back and talk with Angie about what's happening in the Chamber of Commerce in Main Street.
Hi.
We're looking for insurance.
Let's see who's free.
When insurance agents work for only one company, their options are simply limited. But a Trusted Choice independent agent is free to shop many companies for a better deal. Free to do what's right for you.
Let us shop for you. Contact Rogers & Associate to learn more.
And back on the Tadpoll again. I think our last guest this morning had a busy one, a lot of information. We hope that that you had an opportunity to get some of the information we had to pass along this morning on the state and on the city and on the county and everything, on highways. And Angie's joined us this morning. We had to postpone last Thursday morning, so we'd have you come on this morning. So you're going to talk about the winners, right? Your big drawing.
Talk
Okay.
about the winners. So on December 26th, we drew out of that big old spinner thing.
Yeah.
And I wanted to tell you before I announce the winners, or they've already been called, but I wanted to tell you that 19 businesses participated in this event.
19.
19. Okay. And in that spinner, I had over 4,400 cards in that thing. It was heavy. So anyway, Brenda and I took it down to the radio station and we did the thing. But if you add that up, each card is worth $50 in punches. So that was $220,000
that was spent here
that
in
was spent
Phillipsburg
local.
at 19 different places.
19 different places. Now, yes, some of the days were double punches,
Sure.
but that is really good.
Sure.
Really good for people to shop local. Keep it up, people. We're so proud of y'all. And just wanted to say thank you for this event because it really does, I think, make a difference.
Sure it does.
It really does. So, anyway, the first card that I pulled out was Michelle Jones. And she was from Marion, Iowa.
Wow,
And
she came all the way to Phillipsburg to shop. Okay.
Well, she is Bill Molzon and Melanie Molzon's sister, I think. And so Melanie's supposed to go pick up the card. And anyway, so she got the fuel card because when I called her, I said, "Are you still in town?" And she's like, "Nope, just headed back." I'm like, "Darn, that fuel card would have worked, would have helped you out." And then the second one
So what'd she win?
She won $100 in for a fuel card from U.S.
Okay.
Clean Fuels.
Okay.
So she won that. And then we did the next thing. We did the TV. No, what did I do? I think the TV. And Roxanne Bartels.
Okay.
You know Roxanne.
Sure, right.
She's a teacher at the elementary school. She won the Shopco 48-inch TV.
Okay.
And so she picked that up, and she was really excited about that. It's in her bedroom. So And then we drew for another fuel card, and that was Jessica Campbell. And I may not have these in order, but this is what they won. Jessica Campbell, who works over at Whitmer Drugs, she won a fuel card from U.S. Clean Fuels, a $100 fuel card.
All right.
And then another fuel card was from Todd Geist, and Todd is a sheriff, works over at the sheriff's department. And so I kind of joked on the radio. I said, I hope he uses it for his own vehicle, not for the sheriff's car.
Sure,
So
okay.
yeah, but him and Jessica have already went out and got their fuel cards, so that was exciting. And then we had Next Tech donated that 32-inch TV, that Fire Stick, and the 3 months deluxe TV. Well, Layla Venezuela, if I said that wrong, I'm really sorry, but she won that, so hopefully she will get that. I tried to call over to Next Tech today to see if she picked it up, and I didn't get anybody yet, but I'm going to still keep trying that. And then our $500 in bonus bucks person was Lorna Green.
Okay.
So
all right.
Lorna has the $500 in bonus bucks to spend anywhere with the members.
With the members, okay, wow.
Yep,
in Phillipsburg.
yep.
Wow.
So, yes, so that's a pretty, and I have so many people always say, well, you didn't pull my name out. Well, I didn't pull anybody's name out because I take that pressure off of me. So Jessie did it this year for me. So Jessie was the one that was in there, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that one.
Okay, all right.
No way, not me. I don't vote. Vote for like Chamber of Main Street things. I don't do any of that stuff. I'm like Switzerland. I keep everything the same because I don't want anybody thinking, whatever. Because my kids are all like, "You didn't pull my name out." Nope, I didn't. So, but it was a really great event. I mean, to spend that much locally, people spend that money to keep in Phillipsburg. That's a big deal.
Sure.
That really is.
That's great. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I talked to a lot of the businesses, and they did have a great Christmas time and everything. And I think it helps a lot that we started in November. Instead of we always used to start it after Thanksgiving, but then a lot of people are early shoppers, so they're already done.
Sure.
But yeah, so I think it's great.
So do you throw those away then after you have all of them?
I do.
You want to go through and see who he's...
No. I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. I wish I did.
You don't go through and see if
Do you want the job?
No.
Okay. All right. No. I
that would take a lot.
It would take a lot. It would take a lot, and it would be really interesting. But you hear from people. I talk to people all the time, and they're always telling me, "Yeah, I spent this much on Christmas," and I looked up like what's the average amount that most people spend on Christmas. For a family of 4 or 5, it was supposed to only be like $768.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not.
Yeah.
Most people spend way more than that. I mean, I seen people up here on Christmas Eve, and they were buying all those last minute gifts. Oh, I don't have this for a stocking. I don't have this, and it's so nice to be able to go into our stores here and find what they need.
Sure.
We really have a great selection in Phillipsburg, and I'm so proud of all the businesses that participate and our businesses in Phillipsburg because we are amazing. So we are.
Okay, so whole new year out in front of you. What's happening?
Whole new year. Well, January's pretty slow. Then February's going to pick up a little bit, and then it'll go into March. But
I got an email from you yesterday on top people and all this kind of so you might mention a little bit about that.
Annual banquet's coming up, and so we always nominate an individual of the year, like someone who volunteers, and they don't have to be a chamber member, but it's someone in our community that volunteers, that just helps out, that just there's a list of things that they need to do, but members have to be the ones to nominate them. But it's a really nice award.
Sure.
And but it's just a lot of volunteer hours and a lot of community things that people do that maybe other people don't recognize.
Sure.
And then we also have the organization of the year, and so that's a big one. And then we have the business of the year.
My Phillips County Online got it last year, didn't it?
I know they did. It's right on her desk.
Yeah.
So they did. And but it's pretty neat. Our annual banquet's going to be on February 2nd. 3rd, maybe. I don't know. That Saturday.
It was the 2nd.
Second?
Is it
Okay.
a Saturday or something? It's a
Saturday, yes.
I think it was the second one.
Okay, what is it,
And
Rach?
Rachel's looking right now.
Second, yes, February 2nd at the Huck Boyd. And so we're going to be doing the nominations this month or this week, and then I'll be doing the voting, and then so people can send it in and everything. But one thing that we really require this year is that we want a reason why they are nominated, because I think that is a big thing, because when I put it out there, this person is nominated, and I can say why. You know, if I just have a person's name, well, okay, great. What did they do? I don't know. So, but we really need a reason why they're nominated. So that will help me a lot. Other than that, we just got stuff in the office that we're doing, and it's just basketball season. We got changed the lights last night to blue and gold.
Yeah.
So up there on the courthouse.
Really?
Yes. So they're gonna be blue and gold because there's a lot of activity this,
Sure.
activity, basketball, wrestling,
School's back in
everything else.
session now.
School's back in session
Wrestling
today.
tonight, I think, isn't it? The wrestling tonight.
Basketball tomorrow.
Andy Kenny, I finally got to get him on my sports talk because they're always some
Yes.
wrestling. He's coming on this Saturday morning,
Yeah.
and basketball too.
Yeah.
So.
My grandson's starting little kid wrestling.
Wow.
And it's like, oh, he's too little. When Colby wrestled, I can't, I used to be a wrestling manager in high school.
Yeah.
And I always thought, oh, yeah, no problem. Well, being a mom or being a grandma, it's like, you're breaking their arm, and you can't do that. And just the way that they can maneuver and stuff, it's like, oh, sometimes you just have to whatever. And then, you got those wrestling moms who are very passionate, and stuff.
Yeah. There's no, I tell you what, all the years I did sports, I never saw anyone more involved than the wrestling mom. But not only they're involved, the washing the singlets, the food, everything, and then the actual cheering. Oh no, there's nothing more sports-minded than a wrestling mother.
Right, right.
Or
yes.
grandmother,
And,
Did you have a good Christmas?
I did.
Okay,
I did. And I'm really excited about basketball this year. Kristen, my youngest daughter, I hope is going to. I don't want to jinx her or anything, but she's getting close to the 3-point shot.
Oh, she is? Okay.
Thing. So I'm hoping that that's going to be in the next few games, but we'll see. Well, hopefully we'll have a thing about that. But it was exciting that Trey got it over.
Oh yeah.
Was it during Christmas break or was it before? Right before he got the
Christmas,
1,000
A lot of awards
points.
have gone to Phillipsburg.
Yes, Phillipsburg is
football
awesome.
and, yeah,
So,
sure
like I
is.
said, yeah, we're just all awesome, Tad. We just all are.
All right, you got me all pumped up for the rest of the day here. I'm on my high now. For the rest of the day.
That's good.
Okay,
That's good.
well, thanks for coming. Good job you do and
Thank
keep
you.
everything going. And I'm glad that you have a whole new year out in front of
That's
you.
right. And I have lots of stuff planned.
I'm sure we'll have you on again.
Yep, I hope
Okay.
so.
Thank you,
You're
Angie.
welcome.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Angie Wells with us. Okay, well, that's going to do it. We had Angie scheduled for 10, and we're only 40 minutes later. But anyway, we appreciate you being very patient out there.
You're
So we had a
welcome.
good program, a long program. Next week, we're already working on some guests for next week's program. So we'll be back here next Thursday, Saturday morning, Sports Talk. We have Andy Kenny scheduled. And also Rachel will be joining us and Keith about basketball and girls and boys basketball and also wrestling and who knows what else might be happening then. So anyway, you have a good day. And again, we thank the sponsors for making it possible for us to do this on a Thursday morning here. We missed last Thursday, but that was only the first one we missed in a long, long time. And
Well, I don't think anybody should have been out on that Thursday.
no, I know
so.
that was kind of a dicey day out
Yes.
there. Anyway, also thank Rachel for keeping track of things and everything going on. And we'll see you Saturday mornings next door at the bakery and next Thursday morning here on Tadpoll.